Welcome to Boost Workshop Part 2. If you've taken part in the one in December, I'm glad you're back. And if you missed it, the Part 1, feel free to take a look at the video that is on pakiwanis.org. We have that on YouTube on our Pennsylvania Kiwanis YouTube channel. So you can also review the first presentation online as well. And so you should be good. Let me just move forward. Just intro again, if you don't know me, I am Sarah Zaweta. I am the current Pennsylvania Kiwanis governor-elect and part of the membership committee that is putting on this Boost workshop. So today, what are we going to do today? So we talked about, this was a two-part workshop. As I stated, the first part was in December, and we worked on just planning for boosting your club, things that you need to look at, which was a membership chair, prepping for the boost, inviting members, how that all worked. So this workshop, we're going to focus on the execution and celebrating when you get those new members. So all that planning that you should have been doing, now we're going to go through on talking about the importance of branding. So if you recall, club strengthening is inside and out. So branding is part of that element. Membership drive, we're going to go through step by step on how to create a successful membership drive or open house, and talk about the follow-up, how we follow up, the art of the follow-up, and how to get those referrals. And of course, something that we don't always talk about or actually do is celebrate really our successes. We're going to go through that and some tips on engaging members and how we can retain them, keep that momentum going. So moving on. So just some logistics, obviously, if you just joined us, make sure you rename yourself in the participants panel. So that's how I'm taking attendance on who you are. And it'll be helpful for others when you go into breakout rooms so people know who you are as well. The chat option is also on your panel. If there's a question, you can select my name if you want to on the drop down. If you want to send me a message, if there's a technical issue, feel free to hit me up there. Or if you have something for everyone, you can select everyone. I will ask that you keep the chatter to a minimum while we're presenting, but obviously use that as a tool as well to communicate with each other and myself. Other things, this is being recorded, so it will be also shared on pakiwanis.org once all the boost sessions are completed. This is our first one, and we will have one on Wednesday, February 3rd on the evening, and Saturday, February 6th. Those are out on pakiwanis.org as well. So encourage your club members, if they're not here today, to participate in that as well. Other logistics, you did get the Boost Book Part 2 pages in a link via email early this morning. I know maybe you have not had a chance to take a look at it, but that's okay. We're going to kind of go through it, and you will see on the PowerPoints in the top right, if I am referencing that Boost Book, if you have that open as a PDF reference, there's the page number that I may be referencing. And you can always go back, and these slides will be available as well. I think that's all the logistics. If you have any questions for me, feel free to shoot them in chat. Everyone is pretty much muted on here, but you can unmute yourself. I will ask if there is a question, if I'm in the middle of something, if you can raise your hand on the participants panel. If you select the more, you can raise your hand as well, or if it's on the bottom, you can also raise your hand and I'll see the symbol and call on you. And you can unmute yourself at any time. So that's just some of the logistics. All right, so let's get going. Oops. So let's review a few things. So boosting, obviously, we're focused again on strengthening. That means inside and out. It's not just let's get some more members. You want to make sure you're looking at club operations, leadership. Is your leadership stagnant? look at your service project program and your community needs. Have you done that? Are you meeting the needs of your community? So this is all these elements are needed for what we call for boosting. So we're going to do a quick poll right off the bat and see what we've been doing since December. So let me issue that poll real quick. All right. So what areas from Boost Part 1 in December have you and your clubs started implementing already? Now select all the things that you've been working on. If you haven't, there's also an option on the bottom that says have not had a chance to implement yet, but will. But any element here that you've done, go ahead and check off. Were you able to establish getting a membership chair and committee in place, developing a membership survey? You may have not initiated, sent it out yet, but you're still developing. Have you even looked at the roster analysis to target those prospects? Worked on a community analysis? Practice your 1-minute speech, even to yourself in the mirror. Had a meeting to discuss the boost. Have you invited any members to join? I'm seeing a few of those. That's exciting. Or obviously have not had a chance to implement. And if you're a rock star, you did it all and you're awesome. So let me know. These look good so far. And it's okay, again, if you haven't had a chance to implement it all. We just had this in December and with the holidays and all, we understand, but let's see here. We give a few seconds. I know there's a couple options. This is a multiple choice option here. So, all right, I'm going to end the poll. So if you see, this is exciting. 11 of the 18 answers there have invited members that join the club. That's amazing. So kudos to all of you for that. I also like that there was 33% of you had a meeting to discuss with your board to get this member buy-in and boost. That's the best start. So that is great. And there was some practicing of the 1-minute speech. So that's amazing. So you guys are on your way. And I'm glad that part 1 of the boost helped facilitate some of that and gave you those tools and resources. And we're going to keep going with that. So absolutely. So thank you for that. Let me move on. So we got the boosting down. Let's see here. So as we stated, I love seeing the answers that you've already done. So just in review, the boost workshops, especially for the people who may have not been able to partake in that. So what we talked about, the why, the what, the who, the how, this is what we wanted to talk about, why we're doing this, how to get that member buy-in and develop those surveys. It is important to get the member buy-in plus those member surveys to find out what the members think, because that could improve your club and get some new ideas infused in your club. This whole process, again, will not succeed unless you have the entire club involved, and that is important. This is the key to the what, to find that why in your local community. That what service projects are needed there in your community. It could have changed now with the pandemic. Through the community analysis that we went over, you could identify what is now needed. We also looked at it a who by using tools as the roster analysis. And we did the exercise, is age a factor exercise, looking at inviting prospects from diverse backgrounds and ages, using your own network in that roster analysis. And lastly, we talked about how you're inviting those prospects by practicing your 1-minute speech, combating those common ejections, and that ultimate, my favorite, I'm too busy. How do we handle that type of rejection when we are asking? So we're just basically building on your planning here, who you're asking and why. Is there any success stories that anyone would like to share right now? So you can unmute yourself. If not, that's fine too. Or you put it in the chat for everybody to inspire everyone. That would be awesome. But I really appreciate you guys working through some of this. So that is what we did in Boost Part 1. Again, why is this important? Why are we doing this? Why is the district really focused on these boost workshops? We do recognize the need for club strengthening, especially during these uncertain times when some of the clubs aren't meeting. So those clubs that aren't meeting and planning events and service projects, the communities there are not being served. So that is an impact to the children in that local community. As of January 22nd, though, I think in December, we indicated that 50% of our clubs were below charter strength, which means their clubs are below 15 members. Since January 22nd, it is now only 43% of our clubs below charter strength. So we're making a little dent into that number, which is amazing. We still have some room to grow, obviously, and we're still supporting and trying to support those clubs that are below charter strength. Well, main reason, those service leadership programs need us. Those K kids, those builder clubs, the key clubs, they need us. We have a few clubs that are abandoned and they need mentorship. And think about, if we don't grow, what would your community lose if your club didn't exist? So these are all things, reasonings why we want to make sure we are boosting our existing clubs. So that is our focus today. So as part two, all that fun planning that you've done in December and took back to your clubs. So another element here, now we want to execute. So one of the club strengthening pieces is we need to start to talk about the importance of branding. We need to have our image either cleaned, updated, or be consistent, so we present ourselves well to our community and our prospects. I like to use kind of a similar example, like if you're dating or you're interviewing for a job, you always want to present yourself well before you meet the prospect, right? So branding with a club, you want to make sure that your website or your social media sites are all updated and they are all saying the same message as Kiwanis International. So we are uniformed. So how can we improve our club presence? What is our club known for? Why is this important? We're going to take another quick poll because I want to see who has utilized tools and avenues to brand their clubs in the last 2 years. Let me pull that up for you. Let's see who's doing what. So who has utilized these tools or avenues to brand their club in the last 2 years? Have you used Facebook, club website? You can select both of those if you use both. Local newspapers, newsletters. Have you used TV or radio spots? Or do you depend solely on email to your community or a distribution list to get the word out? Or others, or something else you do that isn't listed here? And if you do, feel free to put that in the chat. Or none of that, you don't have Facebook presence, or you have a club website or any of that. And that's okay too. And this is, it's just kind of highlighting we're going to talk through some of these if you don't. I see Facebook is obviously, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter is also popular. Excellent. All right. Awesome. So let's see. So most of the people here are utilizing at least some type of social media, which is excellent, and have 45% of you have club website. Actually, yeah, so 100% of you are using Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, which is awesome. Having the club website is also important. We'll talk a little bit more detail about that. Newspapers, that's great, 59%. Not many people do that anymore, and that's awesome that we are doing that. TV and radio spots, we'll talk a little bit about that. So this is great. So we have some experience here on that. So here, again, how can we improve our club presence? Maybe you have a website or Facebook. So we're going to take a look at that and really see how you're publicizing your brand, your Kiwanis Club. So let's go through that. All right. So branding, we want to create a public awareness for this. So branding is important as we want to ensure the Kiwanis brand is associated with positive results, of course. How are we recognized globally? How are you recognized locally? This is what we're saying when we say branding. Important part of the club boosting is to ensure that public relations coordinator, if you don't have that, please make sure you, tap on somebody to do that. And you want to make sure that PR coordinator for your club, maybe someone savvy in tech. If you don't have that, look at your maybe your Key Club if you have one, or Circle K Club. They're always willing to help your Kiwanis Club. So let's look at a brand you should all know, Starbucks. And when you see that Starbucks brand, their logo is universal. It's not different in cities or states or countries. It may be different colors due to the holiday, the famous red cup during Christmas, but that logo, the mermaid, Starbucks coffee, that has been consistent throughout their history and also in every location. So like Starbucks company, it's important to have the same logos for Kiwanis. So in 2016, the Kiwanis brand changed the logo to provide a cleaner and modern feel to it. We want to ensure all clubs on social media, websites, and printed material should have that new logo. So if you see on the left there, the older logo, which is great and has historical value and meaning, is what we can call the birdcage, sometimes you hear. That is been retired. And the right has the logos that are the newest ones. This is all at our Kiwanis brand site, and I'll share that in a second. So be mindful of the change. Obviously, if you have banners and like t-shirts that have this bird cage, obviously that can't be changed, and we don't want you to change your banner and historical artifacts. But when you have a website or a Facebook page or printed material, if you're doing raffles and you want to have that Kiwanis logo, look to use the new logos. You can also create a custom logo at www.kiwanis.org/brand. This is all, if you go to that website, it has all these logos for you that you can download easily. And you can also make your own club logo, which is for free. You just fill out a simple form and they'll get you the formats in JPEG, PNG, or Mac formats as well. And it'll come in a zip file, and that can go to your PR coordinator or secretary. And you can utilize those logos on all the printed materials and other apparel that you and your club are using. So Kiwanis International makes it easy for you to have those logos. All right. So places to brand. So there's a few places that you can utilize to brand your club. Here are a few. Community road signs. So if you have one, look to freshen it up. Maybe you have one of the road sign decals available. You need one to freshen it up, use a decal. This link here on the store.kiwanis.org shows you all the various Kiwanis meeting items, and they do sell road signs. They range from $33, which is the decal, or the whole sign for $225. But obviously, before you order, make sure you check with your township or community for the rules and regulations for putting up such a sign. You want to make sure it doesn't require a permit, and you just want to make sure there's permission. Some towns you just need permission. So look to do that. I know my home club, we have a sign. It could use a freshening up, but we're probably going to order a decal. But what it says on there is our website. So they can, if you're driving, they can kind of recognize it and go to the website if they want. It's just free. It's just advertising while people are in traffic. We talked a little bit about club's website. We'll go into detail. Club websites are great to brand your club, but we'll talk about more shortly in the next slide. But here, just know that you want to make sure it's always updated. If a prospect searches on Google and your website comes up and the last time it was updated was 2 years ago, they may not want to engage with you because they may think that there's nothing going on with your club. So make sure they're updated. Social media, as we saw in the poll, 100% of you guys are using Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, which is amazing. Facebook and Instagram can be easily connected if you did not know. So when one posts something, it can go to both accounts. There is a Facebook business suite that can schedule post and also link the two, so you can do it from one app and it'll go to all these different places. If you want more information on that, feel free to hit me up later, because that's something I do when I manage multiple pages. Flyers. The flyers are easy way, obviously, to brand your event, your club. And you can post these at the local post office, grocery store, coffee shop bulletin boards. I know I was at a grocery store and I saw the community bulletin board. It was filled with some various, flyers from other organizations. This is just a great way and a free way to do so. There is a flyer example in your Boost book, which is on page 8, just to give you an example of an event, something very simple, something catchy. Local newspapers or ads. I believe some of you guys have talked about having some of that, which is using that, getting an article out there and getting it published, getting the word out about your club and your activities is great. It's a great way to showcase all the amazing things you guys are doing. We are the best kept secret in town. Let's tell people about it. We're gonna walk through a press release in the next couple of slides. And I also have an example of that. So local TV or radio ads. Depending on what market you're in, this may be easier to get a local TV spot or a radio ad to air about a Kiwanis event or just Kiwanis in general. Local TV stations are always looking for community stories. If you look on your local TV's website, local TV station website, they usually have a place for if there's a community event to kind of complete a form and let them know about it. Facebook, there's usually a process for you to submit. There is a process for you guys to submit for some of the TV ads. Again, it depends on the market. I know in the Philadelphia market where I am, it might be a little harder, more competition, but in smaller towns, it might be a little easier. So check that out. So all these places are great to brand, but we're going to focus on club websites, social media, and local TV ads, local newspaper articles. So let's get into that. So websites, again, free websites. Websites are great for that virtual front door. It's very important to have that updated, as we spoke about earlier. Prospects see when you're meeting, what you've done. Just think about when you Google something, you want to kind of look at updated information. So it's the same thing when looking for a club. For club websites, web hosting sites that require a fee are Portal, which is, just to be clear, is no longer a partner with Kiwanis International. So if the clubs are currently using that, you may continue to use so, but all technical support should be directed to the Portal, not Kiwanis International. So that was a change. I believe it was last year. Wix.com is also a great platform to make web development user-friendly for any beginner. So there are free websites from Kiwanis International. The new website for the Pennsylvania district has transitioned to WordPress platform, which is hosted by Kiwanis International. So when you go to www.pakiwanis.org, that's really the template and the format for all club sites. And because our district has moved to that allows all clubs to be eligible to get a free club website hosted by KI for free. So all you need to do there, so that might be a great way for you to start your branding if you don't have a website or you want to move away from Portal to save some money. Complete the club interest form at pakiwanis.org/new-club-website. Again, these slides will be emailed to you later for all these various links, but no, once you get that site, you can take a look at. To check out a demo, look at this site, k16041.site.kiwanis.org. I'll show you a screen print real quick after the next slide. And then free training for WordPress. They make it really nice and simple for you. They have different modules here at kiwanis.org, wiki.site.kiwanis.org. Free training for how to set up your website. What they do is give you a template, which is this demo here for you. And the free training just walks it through everything. So it's pretty simple. What it looks like. If you go to pakiwanis.org, this is where it is, new club website. And right in the middle, if you see that, it says, to begin the process, you must submit the application form and then click at this link. All you do is click on that link. And then this pops up, Kiwanis Club site interest form. And all you need to do is fill out these 8 simple questions and you're done. You will need your key number from your club. And if you don't know that, you will talk to your secretary because they will have that information. And Serge, yes, you're able to post events, meetings, and look on the website. Will the members be able to log in? That is not part of the Portal Buzz. Part of this new website. The website is simply informational. It is not a member portal. You will still need to go through Kiwanis Connect for that. Good questions, though. Okay, so that is how you get a free club website. So that's something you may want to look at. We're going to move on to branding social media. Obviously, Instagram, Twitter is all acceptable, and Facebook page. I'm going to spend a little more time on Facebook page because many of you are on that. But quickly, Instagram is social media platform most often used by, let's just say, the millennials, and how they can be easily, and again, this can be easily connected to Facebook. So using both and connecting the both is really advantageous because you are marketing to do kind of two different audiences, because Instagram followers versus Facebook are different. Data shows like the older generation are starting to be more on Facebook, and Instagram, like I said, is millennials. I know that my Circle K's only use Instagram, and that's how I know when there's a meeting is looking at Instagram. So there is that, again, that integration between the two. So you can post on Instagram and it will show on Facebook too, and vice versa. So it saves you time and it hits different user groups, as I stated. Primarily, we'll talk about Facebook here. It's a great tool to advertise club events and about Kiwanis. And like I said, the median age for Facebook users are 35 and up. An example here, as shown on the slide, is a great use of advertising from the Wyoming area Kiwanis Club. I know Tiffany's on here. Tiffany Cleo's on here, and this project, Invest in the Vest project, which was amazing, and they raised so much money on this to get vests for their police force up there. It was very successful. This was on Facebook, and I know that Tiffany and that club were just getting, from people they didn't know, getting donations for this project because they saw it on Facebook. So this is an amazing way to advertise. Now on Facebook, Facebook page versus group. A page is great for branding your club, kind of like public facing, just like club websites. And the groups are more for club conversations. That's how you want to kind of consider both. Again, the Facebook page, you want to make sure the club information is correct. Share your club info, share a picture with maybe the service leadership program, create events similar to what Wyoming area did here about their project. And you could set up polls, and you want to make sure you get likes on the pages to elevate your status. The more likes, the more it could be trending as well. As a best practice, when posting under the club page or group, I will say you are representing Kiwanis. Therefore, post, people who are posting should refrain from distributing any political or religious information or opinions on their club pages. You want to make sure it's specific only to Kiwanis, because as you're posting on the page as the Kiwanis, you want to make sure it matches our mission. We always strive not to be political or religious on these pages. Okay. Let's see if I have any questions around social media. Excellent. All right. And Val Rose, you did bring up a good point because we learned that yesterday. If you, Kiwanis.org, if you go on there and you click on find a club, go ahead, select, if you go there and put in your club, see if your club pops up. If it doesn't, double check with your secretary to make sure your meeting location is updated in Kiwanis Connect, because that is also where they get that information. They use the address from your meeting location to find you. So make sure that's updated. And okay, so let's move to press releases. One second, bring it here. So the press releases on page 7, I give you an example. This is a great way to get the club information to local newspapers, TV, or radio stations rather than just sending an email. Provide a little bit of information about your event. So in there, we talk about what kind of information you're looking for, what Kiwanis is, and on the footer, it explains the Kiwanis mission. So take a look at that. There's a press release template in the Boost book, but also located on this sample news releases. They also give you different varieties. So take a look at those as well. It is a great resource. Again, you're not reinventing the wheel. Many of these resources are already available for you, and take advantage of it. Okay, so it's a great tool. Let's tell the world about Kiwanis. Okay. Anything, questions on branding? Feel free to raise your hand or unmute yourself. Okay. So I know you guys just got the Boost book link. Feel free to take a look at some of that information I provided in there. The links that I talked about for the club website are as well on there. But if you look at that sample release, you can take that down and see just exactly what you need. It's just more fill in the blanks. So to make it easy. The Boost books were sent to all pre-registered folks. If you registered today, check your email. I tried to get everyone up to 12 o'clock. If you registered after, I will send you guys the Boost book later. Okay, we're gonna move on to the membership drive. All right. All right, so let's go back here. So after you started a branding strategy to create that public awareness for your club, it is now time to continue inviting members into your club and create that membership drive, or what we call open house. I utilize the terms interchangeably, and so does Kiwanis.
One question, 3 answers. Has anyone today been part of a virtual or in-person membership drive in the last 2 years? Yes, no, or not sure. Okay, so my challenge to all of you today is to really put some consideration into some type of membership drive, whether it be virtual, in person when we can, something. They really can make a big difference. Did I hit share results? Yes, there we go. They really can make a big difference in what we do, and not everybody from a membership drive is going to say yes right away. But what it does is it helps you to maintain that database of potential members, to keep on a newsletter list, to call when you're having another one of these, to make sure that you give them information about Kiwanis. There's a lot of things we can do with that list, and so it will be important to focus on having a way in which we can really create a vibrant and immersive event for our potential members. Even if you're not an expert event planner, there's a step-by-step way in which you can have a successful event. So this is outlined in the Boost book, and it's part of the Achieving Club Excellence tools on hosting an open house or membership drive. So we'll use that open house and membership drive. What we'll do is we'll use that as an interchangeable phrase. The first thing that we're going to do is prepare. We're going to then invite, and then we're going to have the big day. It'll be our membership event, and then we'll talk in a minute then about follow-up and welcoming new members. So when we're preparing, we want to determine the type of event. Is it going to strictly be a social networking type event? We're going to tie it together with a fundraiser. Should we have some type of a service project there? And then lastly, is this in person or virtual? Secondly, what's going to be the hook? What's going to be the draw? Is it going to be when we can do this? Is it going to be an awesome venue? Will it be a great speaker that draws someone in? And then identify and train a team to support the event. Basically have somebody who is in charge of the organizing of the event itself. And that doesn't have to be the membership chair necessarily. It can just be someone who is interested in making sure that your club has one of these. And then educate your team about Kiwanis. We did discuss that a little in part one as well, about training the team so that the message is the same. You know, some of the primary things that the members should be educated on are: what are your annual dues amount, when are your meetings, who are your officers, what are some of your club signature projects or annual service projects. A helpful item in scenarios like that would be maybe a handout. Either send them in advance via email or regular mail if you're doing a virtual event, or if it's physical, you know, you might have to have some nice brochures printed up or something like that. About 6 weeks out, you're going to want to start planning those logistics, you know, picking the date and time, picking the venue, you know, whether that be, depends on the group you're advertising to. You know, whether it be a senior center versus a brewery or a new fancy location in town that everybody's been waiting to go to, which I think right now everybody's been waiting to go to any location. Then you want to pick your theme. You know, is it again service, fundraising, whatnot, and program. And then, you know, if you're doing virtual, the one thing I would note is maybe test it with your committee or with your group to make sure that you have all your technical bugs worked out, like screen sharing and poll launching, as I just stumbled through a moment ago. Once you've got the logistics down and the operations are ready, now it's time to think about who it is that we're going to want to invite. You know, think about what your own personal preferences would be as far as how much advance time that you would like to have. So at this point, what you want to do is have this at least a month in advance, sending weekly reminders to them. You can do that Facebook event, Facebook message, email, whatnot. And each time maybe send something a little different, a little more unique to build excitement, you know, around the event that you're having. But again, with virtual event, you may be able to crunch this down a little bit. You may be able to get away with some shorter lead times. How do you find these groups? Now, we did talk about some ways in which we could identify who to invite to something, but look at your personal contacts list, utilize networks that you already are a part of, and then also the potential members that you found from your community and roster analysis that you would have done during the planning stage. The rule of thumb is to aim for roughly 50 people to have on your list, knowing that perhaps maybe a third or less will attend. Internally, you could consider a prize for a member that has the most contacts, and then have them send out the invites, whether it be email or mail or a phone call invitation. But having something in writing is nice for someone to reference so that they can remember what it is, whether they sit it on their inbox on their desk or have it in their inbox on their computer. And just as a note, the Boost book has an example of some call scripts that you can use if it is a contact that you don't know very well, and also some tips for calling that will help you get past maybe a gatekeeper or something that you can help guide your conversation or frame it for the meeting and inviting them to your open house and why they should come. And then also work with your public relations chair or public relations team to invite to work on having an invitation or some other type of campaign here that would help us with the branding and awareness. And then once you've done that, fast forward to the day of the big event and just stay calm and watch all the planning unfold right before your very eyes. So for your in-person events, you just want to make sure that you have all your team members in place to have your setup and cleanup, greeting members when they come in. Even virtually, greeting members is important. Make sure that you have some team members that are there to greet them as they enter and kind of be open and social, know what they'd be saying, introduce them. You know, it's sometimes difficult to be welcoming in a virtual setting, just because it is not as formal because we're all not really face to face, but it is possible to be able to do that by using their names, which obviously the name tags that we would wear are at the bottom part of our screen, you know, and we can use that. Also then make sure to send them reminders, especially if it's a Zoom link the day of the event, so that pops up to the top of their inbox. So that talked about step 1, 2, and 3 in a 10,000 foot view, but let's talk a moment about the making of appointments, which is separate from an open house. This would be probably more for a traditional membership drive, where you then go to the potential member. So the open house would be where they come to you and you're hosting something. At this point now, we're going to switch gears a little bit and talk about us as Kiwanians going to talk to the potential individuals. And for those of you following along on the Boost book, you can reference this on page 15. There is an appointment setting script that can be used for established clubs when working to set up these appointments. But again, this can either be completely independent of your open house, or it could be as a result of someone who couldn't come to your open house. You said, well, we'll come to you. And just make sure that you have this is back up. This is to make sure that you have everything that you possibly need for when you go to them. You know, we don't want to be the typical telemarketer when we're doing something like this. So we want to make it personal, and we want to make it about the community and the needs and why they would make a great Kiwanian. So the Boost book goes into greater detail, but a lot of the individuals that we would focus on for a separate appointment than our open house would be our superintendent of schools, a school principal, our community leaders, or some business leaders that may not be able to make it to the open house. And so obviously when you're talking to the superintendent or principal, some great things to talk about would be the service leadership programs, leadership opportunities that is provided for the students, scholarship opportunities that a club might be able to exist, things that you do obviously that's going to make them feel good that you are supporting the same mission. You know, this is how their students would be impacted. And then same concept when meeting with a community leader or a business leader. What is important to them? How will membership in Kiwanis benefit them, their company or their image? You know, not again, it's making it how you can use both of your your needs, or both of your expertise, and meet the needs in the community, the Kiwanis impact in the community, Kiwanis in schools, networking opportunities, because there are some other non-tangible benefits for business owners of being a member of a Kiwanis club.
Favorite time. So we're going to go through a scenario. We're going to do this 10 minutes each. You're going to get in groups of 3, which I've already pre-selected for you. I want you guys to practice. This is a great time to practice some role playing on how you invite these members. And the reason we focus on this, it is very important to just kind of practice sometimes on how you speak to some of these folks, and what's, we're going to give you a scenario and how you respond. It just gives you great practice when you are inviting members into Kiwanis. So we're going to start with, this is starting on page 20, and let me share the first scenario with you. 1 second. And if you have any questions while I'm setting this up, please feel free to let me know. All right. Let me know if you see everyone sees the PDF. Yes. Okay. I can see a couple head nods. Also, if you know, there's a reaction button on your, I think you can also do a thumbs up too on yours. I'm on host, so I'm not seeing everybody, but if you see, 1 second, let me pull up my controls too. All right. Thank you, Conrad, with your thumbs up. Okay, you guys see it? All right, let's go through this for a minute. Let me bring it over. So when you get in your groups, what I want you to do, there's 3 roles. Select among yourself who's going to be the potential new member, who's going to be the Kiwanian, and I want someone who's an observer. What this means is in this scenario, you're going to have a high school principal that just completed their first year as principal during the pandemic. They're referred by no one, though your community analysis suggested that this high school has an abandoned key club. Get this. All right. Hopefully you can see that. All right. So for that new member, so if you're playing the role of the potential new member, get in the mindset that you are the high school principal and your school has been closed and students are learning virtually due to COVID-19 since the school year started. The high school has a healthy key club, but no sponsoring Kiwanis club. Shame on them. And to your knowledge, the key club has not met because the school was physically closed. You have no idea what Kiwanis is as a prospective member. You have very little engagement with your key club other than knowing it is a recognized student organization and raises money to help in the community. Remember, this principle is fairly new. If you're that Kiwanian role, you are calling them to invite them to a club open house that will be held virtually, and it happens to be during the COVID-19 school hiatus. So it might be during a holiday for them. The principal, that potential new member, is very busy with learning still their new position and trying to meet students and staff, and while meeting the needs of the school, I can't talk, while the school is closed. But there is an adoptable key club at this school, and the students have additional needs due to the school closure that would be great benefit from having a sponsoring Kiwanis club. Maybe these students need masks, they need paper, they need mouses, they need some kind of stuff that would help them learn virtually, right? So the observer, if you're that third person observer, you're going to observe how this interaction takes place between these two people. Observe, take note, and explain well see if that Kiwanian explains Kiwanis well, and our purpose of the call. What could he or she have added? What are the things to consider for virtual invitations? What are the key things that the Kiwanian said that helped close the deal or wasn't said? And I may call on a few observers when we kind of regroup, but this is scenario 1. Okay. Questions before I break you out? I know that was a short period of time there.
We're back. It was better.
Much better. Yes. I took off the time limits so you can talk. We have one more scenario to go over real quick too, but any since we have a large group, any great observations from anybody that they would like to share? Again, feel free to share. Everybody learns this by sharing. They say sharing is caring. Is that what they say?
Were we all doing the same scenario?
Yes, you guys you've all done the same scenario. So
I think by doing those, it gets us more familiar with what our club does, and we have to do our homework.
yes.
But, and now might be a really good time to meet with principals because they're a captive audience.
Yes. It's a great time to do it via Zoom as well, to talk about Kiwanis
Right.
and have that. So that's good. Any other observations from the scenario that you picked up on or learned a little bit?
In our group, Catherine did an excellent job of just selling what the club does, using, good examples. And I think a lot more club members need to learn that too, because it's really selling the club and tell us what the clubs do.
Absolutely. That's why we, in the Boost One, we talk about really that education and knowing your club. And because if you don't know the club, you don't know what, if you don't know the product, how can you sell it to others, right? So making sure that is key. So that's why we harp on that. Any other observations?
Yeah, the group I was in, Joy was the Kiwanian and Ricky was the principal. Joy was very well knowledgeable in Kiwanis as well as her own club. And Ricky, being the first year principal, was very inquisitive, and at the end of the conversation decided she would be interested in joining Kiwanis as well.
Awesome.
Good.
We got all these new principals in the clubs. That's awesome.
Right.
All right. I love it. I love it. Yes. Obviously, when you're talking about principles, those talking points, go back to those talking points, talk about what your club does, but also what Kiwanis globally is doing. Service, we have those branded programs, service leadership programs, what we can do there.
Here they come.
Yeah, I couldn't break them out.
All right, we all back? Okay, so let's go in. I'm gonna just pick each of the groups to see and to talk about, see what you guys talked about. So group one, who would like to share what you guys did or learned? You can unmute yourself.
Who's in group one?
Yeah, I don't
I don't-
remember what.
Oh, Brian Root, Chris Wallace, and Dave.
And me.
Yeah, that's you. That's you.
Okay. I was the observer, so I took some notes and.
How'd they
I guess
do,
I can-
Dave?
Pardon me?
How did they do?
I think they did very well. Chris played the role of the principal and prospective member, and Brian was the Kiwanian attempting to recruit her. And Brian took note of the fact that the school had an active key club in being, and kind of tried to draw Chris into, and as I recall from the scenario, Chris didn't know too much about the key club at that point. So he kind of used that as a hook to draw her into the Kiwanis relationship, and whether she would be interested in learning more about Kiwanis as a way of becoming more involved in the key club in her school. And she was very open to that. And then Chris had some questions right off the bat, which, Brian responded to very well, what their meetings looked like, talked about virtual versus in-person during the pandemic, and the fact that members, especially new members, would only be expected to do what they could. They're not expected to have to attend every meeting. Chris asked a question about fees involved, club dues, and Brian explained the dues structure, the fact that currently new member fees have been waived. And then Chris asked about what her role might be as a new member. And Brian talked about, getting involved in service projects, stressed the service aspect of it right up front. And then also fundraising. He talked about the fact that their club provides scholarships that would be important to key club members. And they also had an SLP committee that worked actively with the service leadership programs. And I think that's about it. If Chris or Brian, if you wanted to add anything.
I thought what was important to me from what Brian mentioned was in today's environment, the flexibility of a hybrid meeting format, that sometimes there can be in-person meetings as well as being able to do the Zoom meeting, the virtual meeting. So I thought that was important to me.
Yeah.
As the principal.
Yeah. And another thing is, I liked your comments, Dave, is about, telling them that they don't have to come to all the meetings, all the projects. I think that's also key, because I've heard from some clubs in my past experience where they emphasize being at every single meeting. And I think nowadays, people's schedules are crazy and all over the place. It's only us idiots that do everything. But I think that, we need to, if we want to start selling the club, making it sound as if like they don't have to commit to every single thing. I think that's a huge turnoff in some aspects, because like I said, like your schedules are all over the place. So if we really put the emphasis on, attending meetings, that might be a turnoff. So Dave, I liked how, was it Brian that said, you didn't have to come to all the meetings. So I think that's a huge point as well with everything, especially a principal who, they're all over the place and having to do things and having to go to their own meetings and board meetings and different stuff. I think, making them know that it's okay to miss things. You're not going to get penalized. You're not, be off because of that. So good job. All right, group 2, quickly. I don't know who was in group 2. We had Ellen, Emily, or Cal, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll respond. We obviously are not good at playing in the sandbox of together of coming up with a scenario. We spend our time talking about, we needed to do some research before we ever had this session with the new principal. We needed to find out about the Key Club. We needed to find out what they were doing in the community so that we could highlight that. We just felt that we needed to do a lot more preparation before, because we may get the principal as a new member, but I think what we probably really want to do is have the club be the sponsor. Now, in our club, the Key Club advisor is a member. And so if that's the case in that club, that person, it may be good to get some input on what has been going on with the club.
There's a reason that the Key Club doesn't have a sponsor any longer, whether the club that they were originally associated with died or their advisor passed away and nobody followed up on it. But it's an ideal opportunity because it's what we do. We sponsor Key Clubs. And this is something that we can offer to that principal that's going to make her life easier while supporting a club that sounds like it's got a good reputation and has been doing good things up until the current time.
Yeah, I think, well, first of all, like talking about the planning part of it, you should, especially if you're setting up these appointments. I mean, we call them like the cold meetings. Those are something different. But if you're planning to go in to talk to somebody, I think definitely the preparation into it is key. So that you should definitely have something in the back of your mind with that. And also, you want to make sure that, when you're talking to these principals, and I think you mentioned about like what the Key Club did beforehand, being a school teacher, I know this, that principals, they care about what their school looks like and how it's perceived and how good they can make the school. So we just really focus a lot on that as well. I think that's a huge thing when you're going to talk about that. So, okay, great. Group 3. We have
It was,
Jason.
yep, myself, Mike Kuba, and Linda. So I'll jump in and be the spokesperson for it. I was the observer. Mike was the Kiwanian, and Linda was our principal. I liked what Mike talked about, how the first thing he said, just like we were talking about, like Linda, like Ellen mentioned about planning, like sending an email or sending some sort of letter to them about before making the phone call. He talked about sending a letter in about maybe a week before, and then when we got on the phone call, he mentioned, I sent an email to you or sent a letter to you a week before, and I just wanted to have a discussion. And the way he presented it was more of a discussing how we can, his club can take on the new adopting the Key Club, and it's more setting up the way of maybe getting together with the principal as well as the faculty advisor or advisors if there's multiples, to get a discussion going first and discussing how things go. He mentioned how that the advisor will have their dues, and just like how other members have talked about already, how the dues are free at least for the first year, and then it could also then be added into the school's budget or things of that nature for future years. And he was talking about, and we went on that part, and so they were it was planning, but it was planning to set up the next meeting to start so that we can then go into as you start working on getting the club under another sponsoring Kiwanis Club, then you can start moving into bringing in the faculty advisor, then as well as the principal. And so ours got off a little bit late. We had a little bit of technical difficulties going on in the beginning, but once we got it going, we were able to get a lot of that we were able to accomplish a lot of that in the little bit of time we had left.
Good. Yeah, Jason mentioned about the dues. I know a lot of schools, if they're trying to get the advisors in or a principal in, they'll maybe pay, especially the first year, for dues and just try to enhance them to come in. And then if they see what goes on after that year, then hopefully they'll want to pay their own dues. But a lot of clubs do pay the faculty advisors or principal dues just to keep them in, because they know that they need that school for that buy-in. Okay. Sarah said room 4 had some technical issues, but does anyone want to speak in room 4? We had Randy, Janet, and Michelle. I don't know how much you guys got a chance to talk at all.
Yeah, I mean, we had a chance to kind of come up with one idea towards the end there. Yeah, we couldn't hear each other, unfortunately. But the idea we came up with was we didn't get a chance to do the roles or anything, but
okay.
It's similar to what a lot of other people have said. One thing that I think was a little bit different was the idea of if the Key Club still had an advisor, not only inviting the principal but that advisor to some type of service or fundraiser that your club was currently doing, just to kind of really get them more introduced to what Kiwanis is. And if that Key Club didn't have an advisor, then really, make that clear to the principal that, to keep this Key Club active and a large part of your school, that would be the main focus is first find an advisor.
Okay, good. Yeah, I mean, I know I was Builders Club advisor, and Builders Club is a little different than Key Club, but that was, I think, the Builders Club biggest problem is keeping advisors in there in the schools. I mean, I can't tell you how many schools had to fold their Builders Club just because they can't find an advisor, because Builders Club is, a lot of Key Clubbers are lucky that they get the stipend through the school at the high school level, but the Builders Club, a lot of times it is a volunteer position with the middle school. So you'll see a lot of turnaround with the Builders Club advisors. I don't know how much that is like how it is at the Key Club level, but that advisor is huge. If you have a good advisor, you're going to have a good Key Club. So you want to make sure that you have a great person in that role with that. So, all right, room 5.
Yep, the last group, that would be us. Yeah, we focused, I think the primary thing I got out of it was the that need to really do that pre-planning that's been mentioned before, and find out what is in fact important to that principal. I was the principal in our scenario, and it was talked about how important it is to realize that schools do. Principals do find it important, schools find it important to really be a good active school and, providing for those experiences for the students. So, a Key Club would be a very good opportunity to do that and to talk about the service that is available, service projects that are available, and also, at the end of the day, how it helps the students as they get on to their next level, to getting on into college, and how that can look on a college resume, doing those service projects.
Yeah, definitely. I think that just knowing, just because I've been working in the schools for so long, that the biggest hook is how it's going to help the kids in the school. I think definitely with Key Club. So, I mean, if you could hook them on that and get them to buy into how good it's going to be for them and the school around, you've got them. So, and then our last group, we had Eugene, Sally, and Thomas.
Here's I'll speak. So I was playing the role as a Kiwanis, and Thomas was playing the role as a principal, and Sally was the observer. Much of our time was spending. We were like talking to the principal and what challenges, and try to get a sponsor help. So try and be a sponsoring club for the Key Club here, and the principal and talk to Thomas as principal. It was the challenges. He was just starting a new job and new life, but everything, he was a bit busy and trying to network with the Kiwanis and using somewhat of like my elevator speech, what Kiwanis do and in the world, like where we're meeting now. So that wasn't the challenge part, but the biggest challenge we did was try to do a major analysis on the Key Club with school was going on meets at virtual learning and how we can meet up. It's the challenges like Key Club. I'm not sure how Key Clubs like they're using virtual Zoom technology, but we did analysis like how much like if they don't have like internet speeds or servers, or they're not really technical edge, like how we can meet in the hot zones, try to keep them on occasions. That's to accommodate those that without like virtual technology, or they're not really good with virtual technology support, and also like find out what other successors and Key Clubs like service projects. So even on COVID-19 where that we are adapt to. So that's it on the works.
Okay. All right. Great, guys. So what we're going to do
Could I make one comment before you move on?
Sure.
Even though a high school may have a Key Club, there could be other areas where you could have some influence. For example, our high school, Keystone Central School District in Clinton County, also hosts an organization called Keystone Cares, which brings other local community organizations in to do things for youth throughout the county. And they meet at the high school. There are high school administrative personnel that attend, and it's another opportunity. Our club is an active member of that organization, which is not directly related to Key Club, but it is closely related to school operations and the influence that the school tries to have within the community. So it's just another area other than SLPs that we're able to have a little influence in the school.
As a former principal, and I played the role of being new to the district, I wasn't looking so much as joining Kiwanis right away. I wanted to meet the officers kind of personally, have a list maybe of the roster, because I'm sure you could find that, but there's other paperwork that would be pressing. And I wanted to be part of Zoom so that I could get to know the officers. And also from Eugene's point of view, he said there were two advisors. One, we actually had a club and they had a designated person. The school had one. So I really wanted to meet them and sit down and talk with them. That was my approach. I wanted to find out more about the kids first, what they're doing, how they're meeting virtually, and in a district that has lousy, how that plays about. I figured once I had that, then that might be a way to grab me into joining the club. That was my approach on the whole thing.
Okay, all right. We are gonna go on to scenario 2. So Sarah, do you want to pull up the scenario for us so we can go over it? Thank you. All right, so scenario 2 is going to be a potential new member would be the director of the Boys and Girls Club, which is a 35-year-old person and been with the organization for 10 years. We're going to have another Kiwanian and then an observer. So definitely change up the roles in here. This was referred to by the high school principal. Get into the mindset. They have recently transitioned into the director role. You have worked for the Boys and Girls Club since you graduated from the local university. The Boys and Girls Club operates on a lean budget and serves approximately 200 children each day, but currently the club isn't open due to COVID. There is a need for more staff and some updates are needed to both the building and as well as the materials the children use. The club has received several grants from civic organizations to fund special projects, most recently a computer lab, computers and furniture. You have heard of Kiwanis based on conversations you've had at regional Boys and Girls Club meetings. However, you think this is a civic organization for older, retired, and wealthy people that won't be interested in volunteering at your club site. You are not sure about bringing virus vulnerable individuals to your site, even though they may want to help. The instructions for the Kiwanian. You are calling to set an appointment up with the director who is new to this position. The high school principal referred you to this individual based on the principal's personal observation that the Boys and Girls Club is a safe haven for many children in the community. The principal speaks highly of both the club and the new director. The high school principal has met with Kiwanis volunteers and has agreed to join the new or established Kiwanis Club and has completed a membership application and submitted payment. For the observer, you're going to be the Kiwanian. Take notes if they explained well what is Kiwanis and the purpose of the call. What could he or she have added? And how well did they speak about our partnership? What are the key things that the Kiwanian said that helped close the deal or wasn't said? Okay, so we're going to go back into the same breakout rooms with that.
Yep, you'll have 10 minutes, same. And I'll pop in, make sure everyone doesn't have technical problems this time. Observer. That potential new member now is that director of the Boys and Girls Club. Remember, we have a partnership, global partnership with the Boys and Girls Club. This director is 35 years old. He's been with the organization with Boys and Girls Club for 10 years. And he was referred by a high school principal. So here we go. If you're that potential new member, you want to get in that mindset that you've recently transitioned into a new director role with the Boys and Girls Club. You have worked for the Boys and Girls Club since you graduated from a local university. The Boys and Girls Club operate on a lean budget and serves approximately 200 children each day. But currently the club isn't open due to, the organization isn't open due to COVID-19. There is need for more staff, more updates are needed to both the building as well as materials the children use. The organization has received several grants from civic organizations to fund special projects, most recently a computer lab, computers and furniture. You have heard of Kiwanis based on the conversation you've had at regional Boys and Girls Club meetings. However, you think this is a service organization for older, retired, and wealthy people that won't be interested in volunteering at your club site. Wonder how they got that stereotype. And you are not sure about bringing virus vulnerable individuals to your site, even though they may want to help. So as that Kiwanian, you are going to sell a Kiwanis to this potential new member. You are calling to set up an appointment with that director who is new to the position. The high school principal referred you to this individual based on the principal's personal observation that the Boys and Girls Club is a safe haven for many children in the community. The principal speaks highly of both the club and the new director. The high school principal has met with Kiwanis volunteers and has agreed to join as well, and has completed the membership application and submitted the payment. So you got that high school principal from the previous one. Now we have a referral about this person for the Boys and Girls Club. So observer, take note again, if that Kiwanian has explained well what is Kiwanis and the purpose of the call, what he or she could have added, how well did they speak about our partnership, what was the key things that the Kiwanians said that helped close that deal, or what wasn't said. So again, go through this. You'll have 10 minutes, and I promise you won't get kicked out, but leave some room in there so the observer can kind of give feedback as well, so you guys can all learn from each other. So make sure you switch roles here, and I will put you in the breakout room. Again, I know we will end today at 1:30, so this is really the majority of it, but we will have a few more things to go over right after this. Okay. Well, BB, tell me about the scenario 2. What did you learn there?
Well,
What went wrong?
I learned so much about the how a club could be sponsored, how a separate club could be sponsored by Kiwanis, like the types of things that are typically done. I had no idea that key clubs were the largest segment of Kiwanis International.
Yes.
And these two ladies can definitely give me a lot of information, and I will be reaching out to them in the future. They're willing to come and talk to our club too, and give us some of their professionalism and some ideas.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah.
Anyone else? What time for one more?
I had a curmudgeon as the Boys and Girls Club director.
Oh.
Intentionally.
Okay.
And Joy, that was Conrad, and Joy absolutely fended everything off, gave him firm facts, did not let him throw her one bit, and convinced him that they could do it. Kiwanis could do it. So it was excellent. Kudos.
That's
to both of them.
amazing. Awesome. Great job. Good job, Conrad. All right. Just for
Sarah?
time. Yes, go.
It's Mary Ann.
Hi, Mary Ann.
I just wanted to say, I think one of the things that the clubs are still struggling with is how to have service projects with their younger SLPs. And I think that is one of the things that maybe needs to be addressed at our mid-year conference. You know, some clubs are very creative in ideas and have a lot of support in the community, whereas others are struggling with that.
Yes. And with that, I'll probably actually have a little bit on that on the slide, is for SLPs, maybe if you're having a Zoom meeting, at least invite them in, just start building that relationship. It might not be a service project, but invite them into your meeting and let them speak is definitely one way to just kind of bridge that gap. But service, that's always been a challenge as well. I know we're doing something where we are both doing Valentine's cards with our Circle Ks, but it's not the same when you're, virtually versus in person. So absolutely, we'll take a look at that for mid-year. So I want to quickly finish off with follow-up here. Might be a few minutes over, but step 1 through 3 we talk through, but let's talk about after you get these new members, the follow-up, or after you have your membership event and new members, the follow-up and how we welcome new members. You want to ensure, obviously, you captured everybody who's attended, some of the prospects that come to your event. So make sure you capture their contact information, including if they are virtual and they're on your Zoom, make a point like, please stay on after the meeting's over via Zoom so we can get your correct contact information, or put it in the chat. Very simple way to get that information. Follow up with these prospects through communication, text, email, or call. And of course, don't be discouraged if your prospects don't join right away. It takes time. As Judy Robb used to say, she likes courting these prospects, and it does work at times. So keep them warm. In the meantime, keep them connected with you. Ask them to put, if they can be on your distribution list for email or a newsletter, and have them like our Facebook page or point them to our website so they can continue to check out our future events. That's all okay. The art of the follow-up. On page 23, we give a little bit more descriptions and some examples of what things you could write. Simple thank you is not overrated. There's multiple channels to do that. I mentioned the text, the email, even a personal phone call. Also maybe written cards. I know a few members like handwritten cards. So that's really nice and touching. I know when I get them, I'm impressed. So find that hook, find that connection with that member or prospective member. And of course, when you're in an in-person meeting, you want to, once you hook them in, ask them for referrals. I love this, presenting it in this way. Who of quality would you like in your Kiwanis Club? So if they've joined your Kiwanis Club, ask them too, who of quality do you want in your club? They really have to think about it. It frames the question a little differently than, do you know anybody? Right? So you want to make sure it's not just, we're not just getting names. We want people who want to be in Kiwanis. The follow-up and the referrals. So once we get all the follow-up, make sure you celebrate. Make sure you're creating that positive member experience to retain these new members that you get. So step 5, we welcome that new member, celebrate those new members, make a big deal about them, have a new member ceremony, maybe induct them with a pin or certificate. Have that tradition. Maybe there's a special tradition. I know a club locally, any new member, they get an apron signed by all the members to welcome them into the club. Spotlight them on Facebook. A little image here from my own club. We spotlighted a new member, Marusha. She joined the Kiwanis Club at Mainline, and we put this on our Facebook page and our Instagram, and it gives a little bit more about her. Find out what drives them. It could be a new service project. As an example, Marusha brought to us Grand Stepping Up, an organization here local to Philly that help grandparents helping raise their grandkids. We now have developed a service project with them and a partnership, and even their executive director has joined Kiwanis. So you never know, one member can lead to many others. When you get these new members, I put this in very big, bold, new member orientation. It is required. We put that required. We want to make sure you educate your new members about the organization they just joined. Every club should have a program. If you don't have slides or have a program, please reach out to your membership district membership chair, Tiffany Kaleo, or your membership regional coordinator. Each region has a membership coordinator that can support you, and we can get you that information. There is also that checklist on page 27. Celebrating success on starting page 25, also part of the ACE tools. We don't do a great job at celebrating success. We're so humble sometimes. We need to make sure people know. We want to celebrate each member, really create that positive member experience, make a big deal about it, I said earlier. Also include those for the current members. Celebrate club project success. We need to celebrate our accomplishments. Kiwanians are, again, too humble. We need to recognize our club's members, their milestones, and any achievements that are that they have. We celebrate our service leadership program. Involve, Marianne touched on this, I said, involve SLPs in joint community service projects like Kiwanis One Day in the fall. Again, this is like in person, but there are some opportunities to possibly do this virtually as well. Maybe give them awesome silly awards like the best painter or whatever, something that connects the two organizations. Joint meetings with the SLPs are also popular. Also have them as a speaker, like I mentioned earlier. Just always trying to involve them, invite them to your club meetings. We talked about positive member experience. Again, we want to celebrate all the members, so we can retain them as well. People join Kiwanis because of people. Just think about your own experience. Why are you still in Kiwanis? I would say probably a lot of you would say about the relationships that you've built in Kiwanis, the friendships that you've garnered. This is why you stay. Also, obviously, for the service. So please people get involved when the experience is meaningful. You will see that many people we have lost put down on their exit forms, lack of interest, right? It's because they're not getting that positive member experience. They're not finding service projects that are meaningful. So that club needs to reevaluate their service program and events that they're having. Members stay involved when their efforts are recognized and repeated. So again, that goes back to celebrating each member and ensuring that they feel valued. So how to excite the members, go on page 28. We have a list of 12 steps to excite those members. I highlighted a few here. You want to make sure the purpose is known. Create a vision with your club. Mention it to every meeting, at every meeting and newsletter so people know. Speak their language. Communicate often in many formats. It could be newsletter, Facebook, or just email. Plan a program. Make sure you have speakers that are engaging and meaningful to your club. Invite kids to the programs. Many parents are very involved with their kids programs. Make sure that maybe the kids can also join on Zoom. I've been on club meetings that kids are right on the side of them. That's fine. Or helping with a service project. Be inclusive of that. Be warm, welcome, and personal, of course, and make sure it's fun. Don't be afraid to think outside the box on this, okay? All right, your closing. After you started your branding strategy, you want to make sure that you commit. So everything that we've talked about from Boost 1 to 2 here is important. So we're ready to boost, right? Ready to go back into your communities and do this. So you're presented on the last page as well is what can you commit to? We talked about this on part 1, what you can commit to. Now it might change a little bit based on what you're saying. Maybe one of the things you can commit to is talking to your club and getting a PR chair, looking at building a branding strategy to get the community out there. As Baby said, maybe they're looking at a key club. How does that work? Looking to get that kind of information. And what's next for you guys? So look to complete, if not started, that planning process from part 1, that club analysis, community analysis, team education. It's very key when you're trying to sell Kiwanis and get that appointment, right? Adding tips for better recruiting and members and meetings virtually. And then of course, as we talked about today, start executing those plans through branding strategy, look at virtual or in-person membership drives and open houses. Work to retain those members through meaningful engagement. We increased our membership by plus 113 in December, which is amazing. I would say the waiver did help a bit, but we need to engage those new members that we brought into Kiwanis, ensure that they stay on past October 1st. So make sure we have a meaningful, engaging service projects and programs during this time. So lastly, some district events that you want to be aware of. February 20th is our mid-year conference. It will be virtual. It was going to be at Penn State, but we will have it virtual. There are going to be multiple forums that are offered during the time slots, and I'm working on getting some social breakouts so you are able to socialize with each other and share ideas and get to know people from across the state. So we hope to have the registration open by Monday, February 1st, and it will be on pakiwanis.org. We will offer a continuing education series that is being developed, so stay tuned for some dates there. Topics will include club coaching. We are looking at working to get people certified as club coaches. There's a certification program. We're working through getting you guys that training and new club opening, just to give you some experience and much more educational opportunities for you. I will stop and ask if you have any questions, concerns, comments. Feel free to unmute yourself if you want. And this is our contact information. If you want to reach myself, Tiffany Kaleo is a district membership chair, and Matt Wise is our vice chair and Region 4 trustee for membership. Any comments? Okay. All right. Let me just check chat for any comments. Thanks. All right, great. I want to thank you again for joining. You will receive a survey soon, and also the slides and a link to the recordings once all those Boost sessions are done. So if you found this valuable, please tell your club members to join the Wednesday night next week or Saturday morning. Thank you, guys. Have a good rest of your afternoon. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Sarah. Great.
Absolutely.
Thank you.